Welcome back to Lens on Africa. It's time now for usual conversations that we have every week. This week, engaging cybersecurity in tackling security challenges in Africa is the muse of our conversation. And today, to interrogate the topic, are several guests joining us. First, in the studio, we have a solution-oriented cybersecurity specialist, an energetic visionary strategist with a BSc in computer science from the University of Ilorin. He also has an MBA and MSc in information security from Royal Holloway University of London with over 20 years of IT experience. Remy Afo, welcome to Lens in Africa.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you on the show.
Nice to be here.
Good. All right. So, also joining us via Zoom is a high-impact information security professional, a senior leader of IT information security, network security, cybersecurity, and cloud computing with over 20 years of experience. Pioneer member of CSAN, a visionary strategist and a protagonist for the cybersecurity in Nigeria, and newly elected president of Cybersecurity Experts Association of Nigeria, amongst other very top honors and qualifications. Mr. Adetukumbo Soyinka, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to start with you, Mr. Soyinka. What is the state of cybersecurity in Africa?
Right, so the state of cybersecurity in Africa is still evolving. There is a lot that is happening around the world, which is putting focus on Africa, Africa being an emerging market. So there is an awareness. Consciousness has gone to awareness. Awareness has gone to consciousness. And there needs to be more protective mechanisms, there needs to be more policies, there needs to be more government buy-ins. We just need to take it to the next level to be able to counter the flood of cyber crime, cyber criminal activity. So we are just beginning to move in the right direction, but there is a lot more to be done.
All right. Mr. Remy, I'm going to ask you the same question. In your view, what is the state of cybersecurity in Africa?
So I'm going to tackle it in two ways.
Okay.
We'll look at the attacks, cybercrime attacks coming into the country, into Africa,
okay,
and one originating from Africa.
Okay.
So if you look at cyber attacks originating from Africa, it has increased tremendously.
Yeah.
And the one targeted to Africa has also increased.
Okay.
So, but much is not being done in terms of having solutions in place to tackle these attacks. Okay. You discover that South Africa happens to be one of the most targeted countries in the world. In fact, a lot of individuals have been targeted, and there's not much solution in place to tackle all those attacks. So I'm going to say this is increasing, and that's as a result of the pandemic. And also with this Russia-Ukraine war that's going on, a lot of cyber criminals are leveraging on that, hiding under the war that is taking place in Russia at the moment.
That's very interesting. That's very elaborate. I had no idea South Africa was this badly targeted. It's very interesting. All right, so Mr. Desunkuba, I'm going to ask, how vulnerable are we in Africa, and why are we this vulnerable? I mean, cyberspace has been in existence for quite a while. How vulnerable are we, and why are we in this state?
Well, we are vulnerable because we have a lot of attack surfaces. Okay. So, for example, in Nigeria, NCC has said to us that we have about 200 million devices that in total. And that gives you an idea of the attack surface that is out there that is continually being exploited. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of tools that's been proliferated. These are attack tools. And groups are more organized, they're more advanced, they use advanced technology to launch attacks. The law enforcement, criminal justice system, they're just catching up. Awareness is not far-reaching enough in these areas, and that's really one of the problems. There needs to be more awareness to the general public. There needs to be more awareness programs that the government needs to put out Private sector also needs to get involved, and that's why we organize conferences every year to be able to have those conversations and those synergies to be able to raise the general awareness level, the literacy level when it comes to cybersecurity. So let's roll this out to Africa. It's the same thing. Just like my colleague said, South Africa is an attack victim. But if you look at the other African countries, they don't have the infrastructure in place to be able to counter these attacks. So the awareness needs to grow, government needs to have policies in place. There's a lot more that needs to be done.
Okay, quite interesting. So, Mr. Remy, I'm going to come back to you. Recently, you guys had a summit and all. What are some of the fallout of those summits in addressing some of these issues? All
right, so specifically this conference was all about insecurity in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So we're looking at proposing solution, technology solution, cybersecurity solution to tackle insecurity. We discovered that we cannot continue to do the same thing the same way and expect to get different results. So one of the advices that we are proposing is the use of drones, the use of artificial intelligence, the use of lawful interception of communication. Some of these are already in place, but we just want the government and the law enforcement agencies to be able to take it to another level. So that's tackling security in a different way. You know, rather than using all the physical and traditional method to tackle it.
Okay, that's interesting. Mr. Desingoba, I'm going to ask in this same light, why have we not seen more aggressive and more effective use of information technology, cybersecurity up until this point? We've heard about it, some measure like you mentioned are there, but why are we not seeing more effective methods used as we see in other Western countries?
I think it's the general seriousness of cybersecurity, cybercrime rather. We need to prioritize it. We can't pay lip service to it. If we look at our critical infrastructure, for example, in the country, there is a lot of impact, and what has been the government response? So cybercrime as a problem that has been growing for many years now, if we take it seriously, then we will be applying the technology to counter it. But I don't think we have prioritized it enough, just like the Western countries are. They invest more in it. There is a lot of training and development for graduates to get to that level for awareness. So you need to build, you need to invest in the young generation, and for them to be able to build solutions, get companies, get investment. We need to have the right mindset, the right attitude to it. Otherwise, the technology to be able to mitigate this problem, we will just be paying lip service to it and we won't really do anything about it.
All right, that's interesting. So I'm going to come back to you, and I want us to dwell a bit more on the security issues. But before the security issues, what is the average individual, these attacks that come, are private organizations or individuals? Who are the main targets, or is it all of us, and what can we do?
I'm going to say it's all of us. And individuals feel the brunt the most. Organizations also suffer cyber attacks, but the only problem is that we don't tend to keep records of cyber attacks that is taking place. And I can give you a good example of an individual that got targeted, somebody that collected her pension, and she got alert that pension came in. Cyber criminals got to know about it through connivance with insider threats from the bank. And they just rang her, a poor woman, old woman that got alerted, and they said, "Oh, we just sent you part payment of your pension. Don't worry, you're going to get some code very soon. Just tell us the one-time code, then we'll be able to pay you the remaining." And that was how all our money was wiped away. So eventually she couldn't recover for it, and from that attack, and she eventually died based on that. Cyber attack has resulted into a lot of things, not a loss of money alone, but loss of life. So a lot of individuals are also targeted, and companies are targeted as well. But the only problem we have in terms of organizations is that they don't report all the cyber crimes and all the cyber attacks that they suffer.
Okay, I'm going to ask this. Mr. Detukumbo, the meeting point between Cybersecurity and conventional security. For example, in Nigeria here, we're dealing with Boko Haram and other terrorist groups. Specifically, there's a lot of things happening in the Lake Chad region. How can we deploy security in, first of all, what is the meeting point between cybersecurity and conventional security, and how can we deploy it in these regions to deal with these issues?
Right, so the meeting point would be both parties working together. So if we have taken cybersecurity very seriously, we will probably have a department that is tasked with looking at cybersecurity attacks across the country. They would then be able to have the right kind of collaboration with the teams that is looking at security from the traditional point of view. They need to be working together, because those criminals who are perpetrating attack, maybe it's terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, they use cyberspace to perpetrate those evils. So it's having the commitment to have a dedicated department that is tasked with the responsibility of dealing with cyber security, cybercrime, but also for them to be able to work with the existing structures, the existing teams that is looking at physical security, maybe from a defense point of view. When that collaboration happens, then we'll be able to work effectively. How much training does the defense team have?
Okay.
They have the training that is specialized to them, but when it comes to cyber crime, do they have enough training? Are they equipped? We're dealing with highly sophisticated methods here, so we have to really get really equipped and prepared.
All right. So, Mr. Remy, still following up on that line. Now, typically, African society is very cultural, very respect, the elders have to say. How do we communicate in this society to break that, to break that hindrance, to ensure that cybersecurity is employed in these areas of conventional security where they believe it's conventional warfare, even though it's not been the most effective? How do we break that barrier?
So the most important thing is to be able to demonstrate that to the older generation, to be able to come up with those solutions and be able to show them that this is how this can be deployed. It's not just a matter of coming up with some speeches and say, okay, cybersecurity can be deployed in so way, but we need to be able to demonstrate it and show it to them. Once they see that, then they'll be able to embrace it.
Okay.
I think that's the only solution that we can come up with. Otherwise, they get to be confused sometimes that, oh, how do you deploy this? How does it work? Because we have new tech-savvy generation that is coming up now. And government needs to come up with a lot of incentives.
Okay.
Government is already doing that. I'm happy with what the back of industry is doing, because they are coming out with a lot of funds. Anybody that come up with a very good idea, solutions,
they will be able to
support them. Yeah. So, and if we're, and that's a step in the right direction, and that's another way that we can attract all the techie guys to come in. Yeah.
All right. The military era is also, let me ask that to Mr. Adetokunbo. The military structure is also one that is very structured, rigid, and formal. And typically tech people don't like a formal, structured, formal. They want flexibility. How can we communicate this to the younger generation? We've talked about communicating to the older generation. Now, how can we communicate to the younger generation that some of this structure and formality is necessary, even though their skills are needed within those circles?
Well, I think the young generation, they come with a different energy. I think with what we've seen around the world, even in Nigeria, that is a testament to that. So we just need to engage them on their level. They see things completely different. But there needs to be incentives, like my colleague said. Government needs to get involved and create these programs. That would be the platform to engage in them. And I think they are very much aware of the issues, the challenges that we have. So that would be the engagement point, where they can then have profile solutions that can
deal with some of these issues
and engage with these conventional
security experts. All right, thank you.
Experts, yeah. Yeah.
All right. So, Arami, I'm going to come back to you, and probably we just have a couple of minutes left, so we'll use this as a way to round up from you. You mentioned earlier the unfortunate woman who got a bank alert, and then she got some money, and in collaboration with some very wicked people, she was robbed of her money, which eventually led to her death. What are the cybersecurity measures we can put in place in the banking industry to ensure that this kind of things don't happen, or happen minimally?
Yeah, absolutely. So, firstly, there's a need to be, I know they are doing that already, but they need to intensify screening of people that they put on board, the employees. Not only the full employees, even the contractors that they take. Then apart from that, they need to start engaging their customers. They need to sponsor a lot of cybersecurity awareness. So that the customer will be able to get the message and know that your bank will never call you to send it to ask for a token or ask for a password. And they need to spend a lot of money on this. Then apart from that, there's a need to also spread the message in the language that people understand, most especially in all the languages that we have in this country, not just English language.
Okay. Interesting. All right, Mr. Desungubo, unfortunately, we're out of time. Your final thoughts on cybersecurity in Africa?
So we are beginning to, we are aware, so awareness is becoming consciousness, and
all right, so,
okay. General awareness amongst public, needs to happen,
All right, sorry, we had some interference, but thank God that went through. So your final thoughts?
Yeah, I think it was just talking about the cybersecurity awareness. I'm also going to chip into that because there's the need for cybersecurity awareness, and I'm not also going to say that there's a need for capacity building of the law enforcement agency. So that they'll be able to tackle all these issues and be able to track and trace all the cyber criminals.
Interesting. Gentlemen, it's been a very intriguing conversation. We hope we will have probably an hour and a half to properly interrogate this matter at some other time.